we will have Joshua in our country in February, then there is the big fight, one of the greatest fights
in the world. Like, you can't sit around and wait for Fury. The Usyk fight is not materializing, and I don't think any fans want to see that. So, in a way, this could be Joshua's final fight or final meaningful fight. It's going to happen in 5 weeks.
That there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity.
Turki Alalshikh has criticized Anthony Joshua for considering a fight with Jake Paul, calling it a questionable decision. He revealed plans to organize one of the biggest boxing matchups next February, featuring Joshua, but did not confirm the opponent. While it might be Tyson Fury, Alalshikh remained tight-lipped, leaving fans guessing. He also noted that Joshua already has a scheduled fight in 2026, highlighting the careful planning behind this potential bout.
Fury and Anthony Joshua this year, do you think?
As a fan, of course, I want to see it.
Do you personally want to see it?
Yeah, as a fan, but you need first of all to be sure they are focusing and they still have it.
Eddie Hearn, who has guided Joshua's career for years, approaches the subject with a mix of optimism and caution. He maintains that any major decision involving Joshua must align with the strategic plans crafted together with Turki Alalshikh, the influential figure who has reshaped the global boxing landscape. Hearn sees Alalshikh as the key to unlocking mega events, especially the long-anticipated meeting between Joshua and Tyson Fury. In his view, every step Joshua takes must be part of a broader vision, not a random detour born out of social media hype. While Hearn doesn't dismiss the financial appeal of a Joshua-Paul fight, he emphasizes that big business requires careful coordination, not impulsive publicity.
Might just see it, you know. I mean, when this fight was first mentioned by Jake Paul, I kind of laughed and thought that'd be nice, wouldn't it? And then, you know, meetings with His Excellency last week, who I think realizes the commercial size of that fight and that opportunity. So if Jake Paul was mad enough to do it, I think Anthony would probably say yes as well and do everybody a favor and end it all, you know, for Mr. Paul in boxing. So, like I said, not really a fight we've been targeting, but if it's presented to us, why not?
John Fury, never shy about sharing blunt commentary, dismisses the idea that Jake Paul could beat Anthony Joshua under legitimate circumstances. From his standpoint, the physical differences are so vast that any outcome favoring Paul would raise immediate suspicion. Fury insists that Joshua's power and size advantage are overwhelming factors, and he warns that if the result turns out unexpectedly, fans will have every right to question the authenticity of the event. His remarks reflect a deeper concern shared by many traditionalists. Boxing's credibility is fragile, and crossover fights must be handled carefully to avoid damaging the sport's integrity.
How does that work? They can't. Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his dick. So if it goes any other way, you know.
You give me a headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's fucking fixed, don't you? Enough said.
The discussion becomes even more critical when voices outside the immediate boxing circle speak up. Jamie O'Hara, known for his blunt style of commentary, questions why Jake Paul should be allowed anywhere near the ring with Anthony Joshua. In his assessment, Paul's accomplishments, while notable for a celebrity-turned-boxer, do not place him anywhere near the level required to square off against an elite former heavyweight champion. To O'Hara, this matchup illustrates how clout, online influence, and entertainment value have begun to override merit and ranking.
I've got a problem with this one, because Anthony Joshua is a two-time world champion. Jake Paul's a YouTuber and doesn't deserve the right to be in a ring with Anthony
Well, don't buy the fight then.
It's dangerous. I think it's a dangerous fight. We saw what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. This is a fight.
I know, but what I'm
People
saying
are going in there, their health is at risk.
But the only reason they're
put
doing
someone
it,
in there in a ring.
I know, Jay.
And you say the only reason we're doing it is for money. That don't sit right with me.
Fine, then don't buy
when
it.
We've seen boxers die who got punched in the face. Fine. You want to make some money. Eddie Hearn, all that matchroom, they're going to make a fortune, right? Fine. Jake Paul's going to make a fortune. Anthony Joshua makes a fortune. I'm worried for Jake Paul getting seriously hurt. You are putting an amateur boxer in a ring with a two-time world champion.
Chael Sonnen adds a completely different layer to the conversation by questioning the legitimacy of the entire situation. He argues that the excitement surrounding this rumored fight ballooned too quickly, without any formal confirmation from organizers or governing bodies. Sonnen sees the public's reaction as a symptom of modern media culture. Rumors spread at lightning speed, and speculation is often mistaken for fact. He points out that Joshua, throughout his career, has represented the traditional values of discipline, structure, and professionalism. For a figure of his stature to suddenly jump toward a novelty fight doesn't align with how he has built his reputation. Sonen's skepticism isn't directed at the fighters themselves, but at the social environment that transforms every whisper into a global debate.
Versus Paul. Done, right? Isn't that what we were all told? And I had reached out to Jake directly. But he didn't get back to me. I did get a response, but it was like, you know the response where somebody's like buying some time, or they just want to acknowledge, like they give you a receipt. I'm in receipt of your text message. They can give you an emoji or something like this, or sometimes there's even the automatic. I'm trying to remember what I got, but you can get like the automatic, I'll call you later. You know those? So even though I had said, hey, I'm looking for a confirmation of this fight, and he did respond, as I reflect back on that, it's like, well, he didn't respond confirming the fight. So who did confirm the fight? So I went to Helwani, and Helwani thought that it was confirmed, but he was a little lighter in the language than what I thought I remember hearing. And there's a number of boxing guys just saying, hey, that's not going to happen. And they had a few details, one of which was being Florida. And the Florida Commission would probably be open to something like this, particularly under the clause of exhibition. And then we'd all have to kind of hear, well, what are those rules and what are those stipulations? But that's reasonable to work with. But we haven't been able to get a confirmation from the Florida Commission. And now we're actually getting boxing guys on the inner circle. We're hearing from some British guys, from some fellow comrades to Joshua that said he wouldn't do that fight. He just wouldn't do that fight. That people would lose respect for him. That he has carried British boxing. This was one guy talking, but the guy said that Joshua has carried British boxing for 2 decades. And that while carrying British boxing on his back, if he was to go over and do a spoof fight against a YouTuber, now I don't look at Jake Paul that way. I look at him as a badass. I understand how greatly he is outmatched. I understand the lack of experience in comparison to Joshua. Believe me, I get it. But I don't dismiss him as a YouTuber, right? Look at him as a guy that went to the distance with Tommy Fury, not for nothing.
Another fighter with first-hand experience navigating both victory and adversity, Tyrone Woodley, provides a more balanced viewpoint. He acknowledges that confidence is a powerful weapon, and any fighter who truly believes in their abilities can surprise the world. Woodley warns that Joshua should not underestimate Paul simply because of the differences in size, skill, and background. Even though Joshua is expected to dominate, a fight is still a fight, and ignoring the possibility of unexpected moments can be dangerous. Woodley's perspective serves as a reminder that combat sports carry unpredictability, no matter how mismatched things appear on paper.
Fight goes down. I mean, to be honest, when a fighter has belief in themselves, I never took Jake lightly. A lot of guys like, oh, he a YouTuber, he a Disney kid, but he does a good job of putting the smoke and mirrors up. He doesn't have anything limiting him from training, nutrition, training partners, coaches, and when you believe in yourself, and you're an athlete, and you can put those hours into the gym, that's a dangerous person to go against. And you look at Anthony, he may be taking them lightly, When you have somebody that's smaller than you, that's more agile than you and moving around, we don't know how Anthony's going to deal with that fight. Of course, with the boxing, the skill and experience has got to go with Joshua. But Jake,
look what AJ done to Francis Ngannou, right? I'll put that to you. Do you not see that happening the same way with Jake Paul?
I mean, anybody can get caught with a punch. I got caught with a punch. Francis got hit with some shit, to be honest. So we didn't see a full fight. We didn't see, an exchange. We didn't see like we saw with Tyson Fury, where he, lasted most of the fight. So it's hard to judge off of that one. And there's such different fighters and such different sizes and styles.
Some analysts take a more technical approach, raising concerns about the weight disparity between Joshua and Paul. Given the extreme differences in their natural sizes, many experts argue that the bout should be staged under exhibition rules for safety. However, it appears that the intention is to make the encounter a legitimate professional boxing match, with all formal conditions intact. These query conditions, as some commentators phrase it, refer to the elements that must be defined in the contract: weight, gloves, rounds, format, officiating, and overall stipulations that ensure fairness. The idea of treating such a lopsided matchup as a serious fight raises eyebrows among purists who believe that certain standards should never be compromised.
Breaking news, and I can't believe this is leaving my mouth. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Jake Paul. Now, this isn't even an exhibition bout. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be in December. And Jake Paul, if Anthony Joshua loses to Jake Paul, then that will not make any sort of sense whatsoever. Because on an athletic level, an experience level, a skill level, Anthony Joshua is several levels above Jake Paul. So surely this is going to be an exhibition bout. Surely this is going to be... There's surely going to be some shenanigans here. Because if Jake Paul gets into a real boxing match with Anthony Joshua, he's going to get absolutely destroyed. Like, there's no point in me... Like, I don't even need to break it down. What do you want me to break down here? And this is an easy payday for Anthony Joshua. And you know what? Fair play to him. People are going to criticise Anthony Joshua for fighting Jake Paul, but if he's really going to be fighting Jake Paul, which I don't think he is, then, bro, he can do whatever he wants to it. Literally. But then just imagine. Oh, it's just crazy to think about. Fair play to Jake Paul, though, if this is a real boxing match. If I see exhibition attached to this, we'll know it's a sham. However, if I see that this is a real fight, we're in for a treat.
Despite criticism, Jake Paul's supporters point out that he has been steadily building his credibility. After defeating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Paul proved, at least to his fans, that he can compete against fighters with real ring experience. Analysts mention that Paul is targeting experienced names because they bring real challenge and recognition. By calling out Joshua, he is aiming for the biggest moment of his boxing career. His journey may be unconventional, but supporters argue that he has taken enough risks to be considered more than an entertainer.
What Jake Paul says, it's about what Jake Paul does. And the reality is, there are two mega fights he's came very close to making in the last 12 months, and they weren't against Anthony Joshua, or big motherfucking cruiserweights. They were against men smaller than him. Canelo Alvarez, which was fucking days away from being made, and Gervonta Tank Davis, who, if he hadn't have lost his last, or drawn his last fight rather, that fight would probably be made for this end of this year already. Both of them are mega money fights. Yes, they're much more skilled fighters than him, but he's got a big size advantage. You look at, a mega size advantage on Tank, even though Tank is, an amazing boxer. Canelo is looking older. He's probably thinking, fuck it. I'm in there with Canelo. Why the fuck not? It's calculated gambling, that. Yeah, you might still get your ass kicked, but at least you can have imagine a path to victory. And even if it is delusional, it's not Anthony Joshua delusional. The biggest fight for the most amount of money is his true goal. But when he talks about the world titles, it's more of a, why not? I mean, if I fucking get through that and I fucking still got my life intact, then why not roll the dice against a top guy? Badu Jack, for example, is a world champion. He is very over the hill. There's a fight I can imagine him maybe out in a couple of years going, fuck it. If he's still champion, why not? But with the killers like Vidal Riley coming up and others, he shouldn't be world champion in a couple of years.
Simon Jordan delivers one of the strongest rebuttals to the idea of Joshua entertaining this matchup. Known for his sharp, uncompromising opinions, Jordan stresses that Joshua should not consider a fight that does nothing for his legacy. In his view, combat sports must maintain standards, and when a seasoned heavyweight champion entertains a challenge from a YouTuber-turned-boxer, it reflects poorly on the sport's competitive structure. Jordan argues that money alone should not dictate decisions, especially for someone whose career has already contributed significantly to the sport's history in the United Kingdom.
It's ongoing for a fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul in December. What does it tell us, Simon? Does it tell us more, as I said in the introduction, about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Jake Paul?
It tells you that there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity. You've got a very talented YouTuber that's built himself into a massive influence with huge following, and you've got a former two-time champion of the world that operates at a very high level of engagement. Whether he's a high level of performer anymore is a different discussion. So it becomes about how much can this fight generate? How many eyes on the prize? I mean, I spoke to his very close friend Michael Jarman about this very fight about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was like, "Oh, what do you think?" I said, "What difference does it make? Oh, it would potentially jeopardise his legacy. His legacy's sealed. You cannot undo the fact. Whatever you think of Anthony Joshua,
It might
as
damage
a fighter,
it.
I don't think so. What it will do is increase his
Yeah.
bank balance. But I don't think. I think in the great. I mean, it didn't damage Muhammad Ali's reputation to go in with a sumo wrestler, did it?
No, but after when Joshua was at his peak, Simon, if I had said to you there and then, do you know what? Maybe in December 2025, Anthony Joshua will fight a YouTuber.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the World Heavyweight Championship twice. And he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment. And if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people wouldn't have this.
Others reinforce the absurdity of the trajectory Jake Paul seems to follow. Before setting his sights on Joshua, he challenged Francis Ngannou, a fighter whose strength and power exceeded anything Paul had ever encountered. While Paul has chased names with huge profiles, the gap between his abilities and the athletes he is calling out remains wide. Observers note that Paul's tendency to bounce between names and ideas casts doubt on whether he will commit to any plan he publicly announces. This is why Eddie Hearn often treats Paul's statements cautiously. Jake may be ambitious, but his direction changes frequently depending on mood, opportunity, or publicity strategy.
It would be something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event. And a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it make no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete.
The discussion gets broader when former champion Tim Bradley weighs in on the chaos surrounding Paul's career moves. Bradley recalls how Paul's proposed fight with Gervonta Davis fell apart, causing heavy financial losses for broadcasters, sponsors, and event planners. This example, he says, explains why many in the industry treat Paul's announcements with caution. When a fighter with a massive digital presence suddenly shifts away from confirmed deals, ripple effects spread throughout the business side of boxing. Bradley believes that the sport cannot operate efficiently if major arrangements consistently collapse without warning. From a strategic standpoint, some observers believe that a matchup against Jake Paul could actually benefit Joshua in a small way.
Look, Tank, let's get on Tank real quick. You gotta be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make the... I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. You know, MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You know, you innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all. You know, but I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions, yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B, just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots. You know, I heard through the grapevine the joint wasn't even selling.
Chris Algieri points out that returning to action after a gap requires rhythm and confidence, and a high-profile but manageable matchup may help Joshua regain his momentum. While facing an opponent far below his usual caliber doesn't enhance his legacy, it may give Joshua a chance to sharpen his instincts and re-enter the competitive mindset. Even so, Algieri admits that the spectacle nature of the event overshadows any athletic merit it may have.
How many rounds? What do you mean? It's going to be a fight. What are we talking here? Like, it's going to be an exhibition? No, it's a fight. You're a heavyweight. You're calling out heavyweights. You're calling out a heavyweight. You're calling out Anthony Joshua, former world champion. You're calling him out on short notice. It's a fight. You're going to wear 10-ounce gloves and you're going to fight 10 rounds, and that's what it is. I don't understand any idea of anything else. Oh, it's going to be 8 twos. Is it going to be 15-ounce gloves? What the hell are we doing? This is boxing. You want to fight a real guy? You're fighting a real guy, which I am very respectful. And I respect the hell out of Jake Paul if he does step in the ring with Anthony Joshua, no matter what happens. Kid's got balls of steel, and I applaud you.
Well, the reason I say we don't know yet because Jake Paul has fought in his last fight with Gervonta Davis was going to be an exhibition. They had to do that because of the weight difference. This is still a weight difference here. I mean, Anthony.
No,
Joshua,
there's not. No, it's not. It's heavyweight. It's the same weight class.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.